In this video, Mikael Klangeby and yours truly will be discussing competitive Deathwatch, War Zone Nephilim and what the future might have in store for us. Mikael Klangeby has started playing Deathwatch about 2 years ago and is by now an established veteran who has been doing very well with our Deathwatch Army of Renown at various tournaments over these past few months, including a win at the Viking GT back in July. Over the course of the video, we will be diving into his recently acquired Deathwatch celebrity status, his latest tournament, the Games of Westeros XII, Deathwatch performance in War Zone Nephilim, the future of our Army of Renown, as well as some handy tips when starting out with Deathwatch. At the end of the video, there will also be a quick summary with my personal key takeaways.
Welcome to SwissHammer, your channel for modeling in Warhammer 40k. My name is Temor and I will be guiding you through this video.
First of all, a big shout out to Mikael Klangeby for making the time to virtually sit together and have this chat about the Deathwatch. On a side note, as you guys will notice in just a moment, I managed to mess up the size of my own video recording, but you came here for Mikael Klangeby anyway, and his I got right at least, so all is fine. But without further delay, let's get started with the first topic at hand. So at the beginning I have to unwind this a little if you don't mind, but as of late you had quite a streak with our Army of Renown. To give a few examples, in May you went 4-1 at the Games of Westeros XI, rank 4. In July you won the Viking GT, that made me very happy. And now just this last weekend, early September, you went 4-1-0 again at the Games of Westeros XII, ranking 3rd. That's quite the achievement, I would say. By now you get featured on a couple of sites, on a couple of people making shows and so on. Your list is being copied by other players. So am I exaggerating when I'm saying that you acquired a bit of celebrity status? How does that feel?
Yeah, actually it's quite fun because I love the community. So being, like you say, people are copying the list and people contact you and ask for their tips, and it's so fun with the hobby. It's a widely spread game all over the world, and even though we get together and chat through Discord or people contact me on Messenger, I love it. It's a fantastic way. And especially with Deathwatch being such a small community, where we actually can help each other out in a totally different way. So it's fun. I like it, and it's been a very good year for me playing. So.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I don't know how it is in Sweden, but like for instance in Switzerland we are not, compared to the US or the UK, so many players. And if you get this international level to the hobby, it's an entirely new world, at least for me.
Yeah. Just talking to everyone here in Sweden, no one actually know who I am.
Oh really?
Now, maybe now in at the Games of Westeros, some people they had a draft before the tournament, and some of the guys had picked me for the top spots.
Oh wow!
That was very fun. So some people in the community now know who I am, but most of the people I play have never heard of me, of course. But it's a small country, and at all the big events, almost the top players are always attending. So it's like a shark tank at every event. So, for instance, now at Game of Westeros, most of our WTC team was there playing. So it's a great competition.
It makes it hard, let's say, to avoid certain players if you wanted to avoid them, right?
Both my Harlequin games were against players from the WTC game who played just a few weeks ago. So against Axel Rydén in my second game, and then in my final game against Jonathan Slade Johnson, who is the new WTC captain for Sweden. So 2 very intense games.
That's very cool. But now that you mentioned that you get to be known a little, do you think your opponents, now that they know in a way who you are, do you think they are now particularly preparing to meet you Like, you kind of figuring out what kind of tricks your list does? Or do you think they are getting nervous or something when they play against you? Because you mentioned once or twice that you got a little nervous when playing against someone you thought was very good. Do you think that is maybe about to change, or is already
Yeah,
changing?
yeah, I think in between the games now, the people I was facing who actually are high-ranked players in Sweden knew who I was.
Yeah.
Like Axel Rydén had actually watched my stream from the final game in the Viking Games in Norrköping, where I took first place. So he had seen me live and knew my list a little bit. So of course, people are now knowing there is a Deathwatch player, a Marine player who actually is going top 5 at some events. So of course, people are getting more prepared, and I reckon that Jonathan, when he saw the matchup for the last game, talked to his friends and the other guys who had played against me for some tips and tricks. Even though he's a serious player who spend a lot on Tabletop Simulator and play a lot of games, Deathwatch is so rare. So most players have never faced Deathwatch, and it's impossible to know all our rules just coming to a tournament and be prepared for it.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of our strengths, I think, because we are such a odd player. So being able to know our tricks and things is very hard for the opponent, and that's one of our strengths.
Maybe they're gonna start watching your channel or mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Learn all the tricks.
Yeah, some of my friends actually say, "Why are you letting out all your tricks for the army? Because your opponent can also watch that and know what to do against you."
Exactly.
Yeah. But I like to help. So.
We try to help our own, but we kind of help the opponents as well, right?
Exactly.
That's unfortunately how it goes. Just as a follow-up, has anything changed for you when you are attending events now? Are you feeling like a bit more weight on your shoulders now that you have won a tournament or even come close to winning a couple times? Do you have it in the back of your mind, or has basically nothing changed, everything as always?
If compared, I started playing just now it's 2 years ago, and my first tournament I was nervous because I didn't know the game well enough. You were afraid of doing something wrong, and all those things. And like you say now, I'm more nervous of performing badly.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go to an event now, and you can say it's a bit of pressure because I don't want to go there and just go 2 wins and 3 losses. I want to go at least 3 wins, 2 losses. For Games of Westeros, my goal was to be in the top 3 spot. I wanted to go 5-0. Well, I would be fine with 4-1, and now it was 4-0-1. So I was very happy, especially with the matchups. But I was, of course, aiming for top 10, and that was my goal. And I had both the pressure because I wanted to be performing for the Deathwatch community, that we want to be there up, getting top spots for the Deathwatch. And of course, for my own rating, I want to be there climbing the ladder, of course. Yeah. So far, I have 5 games this year. So I need to get my 6th in to get the whole placement for the ITC.
Okay.
For the faction, it's only 4, but for the Scandinavia, it's 6 games.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I suppose we will go to 1 or 2 more then. But what would you recommend to other people trying to go into events and try to score a couple wins, as you said, maybe managing 3-2? Do you have any, I don't know, special tactics or tips that like helped you prepare more for the event itself than actually playing the game?
The main tip is play the same list over and over again, so you know your list in and out, and you know your basic game plan, because no matter what opponent, I still almost have the same game plan. I want to go long vigil, except for Harlequins, who, of course, you can't go long vigil, but otherwise I always... it's going to be very difficult, so I ditched that one in those 2 games. But otherwise, I play Long Vigil and Banners. That's my 2 main go-through. And that's the same game, no matter the opponent. Just deploy, be able to defend deployment, raise 2 banners, score at least 10 on banners, 15 on Long Vigil, and then have a kill one. So that's my game plan. And just having that in your mind makes you more relaxed, and you can play your own game. And then also knowing your enemy. That is key. So during these 2 years, I actually only played Deathwatch competitive, but I have bought 6 other armies, which I play just to train to know the enemy. So I play my Tyranids, my Custodes, my Thousand Sons. I play them, so I learn the army, and I watch a lot of streams about the other armies, like Goonhammer, and a lot of streams, just looking and knowing what's the stratagems, how do they play, how do they score, listening to different podcasts, and just knowing the enemy is such a great thing, because then sometimes someone just picked up an army and they don't actually get all the rules, and then knowing your opponent when he does something wrong, and you can be there and just we all play something wrong sometimes, and just knowing your enemy very good is you can keep track on that he's doing the right things, as well as where you have to punch him, so it hurts, because you always want to break your army in turn 2, maybe just break the back of him so you can roll over.
Well, okay, but then about your latest event where you ranked 3rd, can you let us know a bit about that, like how it went? Well, obviously it went well, but the things you thought were going especially great, a bit about your matchups and stuff.
The first game was against quite a new player. It was his first tournament, so that was a very fun game because it was very social and helpful, and just managing the time. He ran out of time, but we shared the last time so he can play the game through.
Cool.
So it was a great game. Actually, I won 20-0. It was when you convert the points. I don't remember the actual points, but it still was. I think he played Sisters. But it was a great game. I haven't played Sisters a lot, so it was nice just knowing them a little bit better. Then second game.
Sorry, I just wanted to say I think they are very strong at the moment, so maybe it wasn't so bad that he was at his first event.
No, probably in my favor. Sisters, exactly. But in my favor. In that game, I went with Long Vigil, I think banners, and for the final one, I think I took some, maybe grind them down, because he had a lot of small units, and I thought, I will probably kill more. Second game, I was matched against Axel Redén, the WTC player, playing the meta Harlequin with a lot of boats and troops. So going into my second game, I was quite nervous because, already now I'm facing one of the top players in Sweden. So a very nervous start for the game. I had 1 week before played Pedro Chavez, exact copy of that list at my home. So I knew the list, and against Pedro Chavez, I made a terrible mistake. I invested all my army doing a hard alpha punch turn 1, and I was tabled in turn 3. So I knew I can't play that game. I need to be staying back, lure him out, playing my game in the backfield, and then strike him slowly. So I did that, going for Cripple Stronghold. It's good on Data Scry because all the actual different he can pick from is in the middle. So it's the same range to everything. I went with Codex Warfare because it's quite easy to get at least a 10 on that one, because you can always score some in the shooting, some in the melee, and maybe one round have some heavy doing some damage as well. He has so many troops. And then Suffer Not the Alien. So doubling up on kill is easy then, because when you have an MSU army that is Xenos, Suffer Not the Alien, you will score 1 point for every unit you kill, and 1 point for Codex Warfare. So you're doubling up on the kill, and then have that Cripple Stronghold. So invest very, very hard on the Cripple plays, and start slowly killing stuff.
Goes very well together,
goes very well. So I think in the end it was maybe 12-8. So it was a tight game, but in my favor. So I was nervous through the whole game. It was very even, and those are the most fun game when it's so even, and it's just crystallizing out in the end who's going to win. Last game for that day was against Tau, and that was the opponent I faced in the final in Norrköping in the Viking Games. So we knew each other from then. So he was more nervous than me because he lost. He lost the last time, but he actually read up a lot on Deathwatch after that one because he had never faced Deathwatch before, and now he was more prepared. He had a better list. Last time he didn't have such a big. Now he had one of those big crisis blobs that do an insane amount of damage. So I knew it has to die. So that was my focus target for that army. He had a lot of hammerheads and commanders and some MSU to score. So my goal was to take out his obsec and the big crisis suit, and then I have the game. And
Nice.
I did that in turn 2, so I could slowly score up later on. But he took a lot of scores as well, so it was also an even game, even though in my favor. But he had learned a lot from our last game and read up on it. So yeah,
Maybe on our channels, yes.
yeah, maybe, yeah. So that was the first day, 3-0. I was very happy going in with 3-0. Then you have a lot of pressure the last day. But
Yeah.
my goal was to go 4-1, and going away day 1 with 3 wins. It felt very good.
It's a very good start. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very cool.
And then the second day, I was paired into Chaos Space Marine. Never played against them.
Oh, okay.
So that was actually the game I was most nervous into. Because I had no idea how hard they were going to stand the Terminator blob, because they have so many buffs.
I was going to say, yeah, most likely Brooke is going to have a blob and the Abaddon or whatever, and yeah.
So I prepared mentally for the game, going, I'm going to play very defensively. He has to come to me, and then I will strike him. So the game actually ended up like this. In turn 1, 2, 3, and his 4th, we stood on each deployment and made no move. I was standing there scoring long vigil and banners. He was standing over there and scoring something for him.
Awesome.
And then in turn 4, I slingshot one of my fast Proteus team up on one of his banners, brought it down, and took his primary objective and sent him down to a 4. And then he killed me. But in turn 5, I knew I'm going to score a 12.
Yeah.
Because I can just move up on any objective. So I took down one banner for him. He would lose a point for that in the end. I could raise an extra in the end and have a 12. So it was a tight game, very passive, and both players were scared and no one dared to do the move. So
it's funny. Sometimes it's really just a waiting game, and you sometimes really just have to wait. And that's something where I immensely struggle. I just want to go ahead.
Just kill him.
Exactly.
It was a tight game as well. I think it was 13-7 in the end, due to I could steal some points there, attacking his objective in the round 4, so he couldn't get it back in time for round 5, and he lost on points there.
Wow.
So a very tactical game, just passive tactical. It worked. That worked.
And then the last one, the draw, huh?
Yeah, it was against Jonathan Slade Johnson, who had also a lot of boats and troops. He took away 1 boat, so he only had 8 boats and 8 troops, but 2 extra HQs. So he had 4 HQs, I think, in that hard-hitting Harlequin list.
Wow.
The troop master with damage 3 flat, and very speedy characters jumping everywhere, and that sniper, the Death Jester as well, and 2 psychers. A very, very, very tight game. Where you could feel it was just minutes left when we finished the game. The tension was this high because when we both were feeling this game is even, it's the final. We both know that if we win this game, we can win the event. It's just going to come down to a few points. So the tension was up here. Still a very friendly game all along, but in the end, it's the final game. It's a lot of tension. And we went, I think, in battle points, he won with 3 points, and 5 points is a draw. So it was a very tight game. I think I almost tabled him. He had 1 psyker left that he tried to hide.
Wow.
The rest of his army was dead, and a lot of my army was dead as well. So.
Good game.
And in that mission, it was, I think, Death and Seal, or conversion, where the round deploy.
In the middle, this circle.
Yeah, and the objectives were sticky for OBSEC, and I forgot that in the beginning. And but it was a very fun game, but a lot of tension in the end. I was very happy getting a draw, because when I saw my opponent, my first thought was, don't lose too big. try to keep a lot of points because I'm not going to win this game.
Yeah.
But in the end, I was very happy with the draw. I don't think he was as happy as I was. He wanted to win, of course.
Okay, in a way, it was a win then.
Yeah, for me it was a
For
win
you,
actually.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. For me it was a great win, I think. Yeah.
Wow, it's very cool. So basically, I mean, you came into that event after winning the Viking GT, and still you made list changes. I saw minor list changes, but you made list changes. So what was the reason for making the kind of changes you did? I think you were running more in Scepters, and I think packed one more heavy Thunder Hammer. I think those were the changes I noticed. Maybe there were a couple more.
Yeah, the changes were mostly switching out the Flamer aggressors
Yep.
to Bolter aggressors. That was mainly for the range, but also because the debate is still going on. Can you use Specialist Extremists with Flamers or not? And just taking away that from the equation. I don't have to think about it. It's more easy to play.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to worry about it because now I have Bolters. Fine, I can use it. And I have a lot of better range, but to a higher cost. So I dropped all my teleport homers because the same thing. It's a debate. Does it work? Does it not?
Yeah,
always played it. I always play them like Rolling Stars.
Yes.
I think they worked. I think they work perfectly in a protest scheme. But now, when I was going to aim for a high win at a bigger tournament, I didn't want anyone to question my list.
Yeah.
So I ditched all things that could be questioned.
Yes.
And went with a pure list that I know this is legal. I can play it in any way that the rules are written. So
exactly, it's gonna work no matter what. Because I think the event had something like 90 plus players. So this is quite big.
Yeah, 92 players.
Yeah.
So I think it was in it. So losing the 2 teleport homers gave me 10 points for 2 of those bolters, and then I think I don't remember what more I did.
In one protest, you had one more heavy Thunder Hammer.
Yeah, and I switched back from the Phobos Librarian to the Sergeant, so I could go down 10 points on the just a regular cycler. So that was the 20 points I were chasing. So and had Lord on the Seat on the Sergeant instead, and that was great actually because he survived a charge from the Harlequin troops because he has his 3 wounds. So
he has
he
the
did some
extra wound from the trait, that little neat trick. Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
It is. You have to remember it because you always forget. But then, just in one game, he has 3 wounds. He's alive with 1. That was so great.
Awesome.
Mainly because I wanted to know I can play the list legally. No one will question it, and I get better range. So otherwise, the list is almost the same. I took 3 aggressors and 2 inceptors for the extra range.
Yeah.
In moving as well, having 2 of those, it's easier to tangle out the unit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you started with a lot of aggressors in your initial lists.
Yeah.
And now you basically only have 3 left. Are you missing, the fists they swing in close combat, or is close combat not really coming up anymore in the way you play with those teams?
When we went into Nephillim from Nachmund. More knights are playing. And you get shot off the board if you have MSU. So it's easier to keep those big blobs alive. And then you can pick the wounds where you want to. Before I always combat squadded the 2nd Indomitor, and I had 4 aggressors together with 1 Inceptor. In deep strike because we had extra CP, so you can pull them easy up in the deep strike and come in the backfield and flame something on the home objective and then charge in. That doesn't come up as much now because now we play the defensive game. We stay in our backfield and move into the middle. So in that way, the game has changed. So I play this as a 10 brick, and then 3 aggressors is still 12 attacks when they actually run into the charge. And they punch pretty hard when they are alive.
True.
But my combat is mainly performed with the 2 Proteus kill team. This is a second shooting team that works better into, let's say, things with a 3-up save and doesn't have armor contempt like Harlequins. It's a lot of more shots in this team. And they still will have their 4-up invul. So it's better to shoot with this team and the other Indomitor who only has 40 shots, I think.
Are you planning
still
to
a lot.
do for your next event any major changes, or are you still thinking about that, trying things out a little, or are you feeling comfortable with the list as it is?
I feel comfortable with list. I know it. I know it can perform. It done so several times. We will see what changes will come in the next balance. I don't think we will be hit in any way, but hitting some of our opponents will make our army even stronger. So I think the list is good. I know it. I can play it. I would like to do some changes just to test it out. I have been thinking about maybe running double Spectre Steel team with 10 last fusils, just to be able to screen out even more, and then maybe throwing in a lieutenant, Phobos one, with the warlord trait that you can fire and fade, and just keep those 10 last fusils moving up, shooting, moving down in cover. It's a neat trick. You will get that if you just drop one of the Indomitors or maybe one of the Proteus. But still, I like the double Proteus, double Indomitor. So
it's very cool to play. But I have to say, I'm a big fan of the Spectre skill team. So the thought of going with two of them is neat. We have to see about that.
Yeah,
So,
I have ordered from the prize money. I went one from Viking Games. I actually ordered 3 boxes of infiltrators and 1 eliminators and 1 infiltrator. So planning to do a triple Spectres, but that will be in the future.
Wow, awesome.
Because they are so cool. Yeah, they're cool.
I would love to see it. But would you say that we perform like more in War Zone Nephilim that we did in War Zone Nachmund, or would you say roughly equal? Because I think we have the mission and CP changes. The CP changes, I think, hurt us a little, but we also got some discounts. So how do you feel we are like compared to Nachmund now in Nephilim?
I think we were hit pretty bad because of the CP changes. We're a very CP dependent army. So actually I think it was an easier game in Nachmund, because then I knew I was playing Stranglehold. It was a taken one. You just move up on objectives and be aggressive. I was playing always deploy teleport homer, because it's so easy to just move one single model into the enemy's deployment zone and just score 4 points. You have a lot of enemy guys dying, and one survives. You pull him out with 1 CP strat. You have a lot of CPs, and you drop him down the next turn, 4 points. It was so easy to score, and then you had to take your last one, and then you could always go for maybe a kill one, or suffer not alien if you were facing. So it was an easier secondary game. Now in Nephilim, we actually got Long Vigil, which is great.
It's nice,
and banners is much more easy now, when you can move actually up on objective in movement phase, steal it back and raise the banner. So with optimized priority in combination, now it's more easily to always get a banner up when we have OBSEC everywhere. You just move there, you raise it, and then you shoot in anyhow. So we have 2 great now. The third one is the problem, and just having less CP is a problem as well. But still, I think that it's going well now is because I got so much training during the Nachmund with this list. I've been playing the same list for the whole year. Actually, my first tournament this year, I think when I was placing 8, I played a different list. I had 140 skill team with 5 bikes, Outriders, which I tried out very early this year. It didn't work. It underperformed in damage. I liked the mobility and the endurance, but the damage was too low.
I'm fairly sure I saw that list back when you played it, but I don't remember precisely how you had it. But it's one of the things I also noticed, like your list transitioned really, really well from Nachmund to Nephilim. I mean, you did comparably few changes. You did a few, but it still works beautifully.
Yeah, it's the extra point you got from the discount on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Made melee teams a bit harder, more hammers and more shields. But it's still the same team actually.
The specialisms are cheaper and the last fusils are free. I mean, that's basically the things we got.
Yeah, so, which is great.
Which
the
is
last
great.
few seasons, the last few seasons are so great. Into Knights, into Terminators, into they are great
They
into
are
a lot.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering whether it was a mistake or not, but let's not tell GW.
No,
All is fine. All is fine.
Yeah.
One thing I'm wondering about regarding the CP changes. I mean, the whole point, I think, why they made the changes. Okay, they didn't want so much during the first turn, but it's kind of also a shift towards rounds 4 and 5. But how much for you, for instance, during the events, do round 4 and 5 really come up? And do you think that the extra CP there matters compared to when you would have had it turn 1 or 2? I think that's the big question.
Now I think in the I try to remember the final game against Jonathan. I was during round 1. I was just playing passively, staying back, raising banners. I made him come to me, and then I think in turn 2 or 3 I did my specialist. Turn 2 I used a tome, and turn 3 I did specialist extremis.
Yeah.
So I was saving up for it and just popping some defensive traits, saving up some CP. So I think I had 4 or 5 CP in turn 3 when I popped specialist extremis and put my big shooting team into Imperial Fist. So 5 I must have had. I think in some games it actually comes down to using the CP mid game. Not so much late game. You want that extra CP to do an heroic intervention on an objective with Black Shield, or maybe during that last transhuman on those few 3 eliminators standing on that objective and cover. But getting 1 CP all the time is always nice because you can always pop that extra defensive trait, which is great. So I like the new changes, but it's hard starting off with so few because it's always fun to do a lot of things in the beginning.
And we have so many nice picks at the beginning, like all the Warlord traits and all the cool relics we have. I mean, Jesus, I'm starting now with 1 CP because I told myself, okay, I'm not gonna extremis in the first round anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's a little tight, I must say.
Yeah, but it's correct because now you don't need to, because if you're bringing Tomb, you use Tomb round 1 when your army is staying together, when you can tangle up the 2 different shooting team and everyone is standing close to the Watchmaster. I use pop Tomb in round 1 and 2. 1 or 2, not in both, but 1 or 2. And then when you come into round 2, you have those 3 CP and then you can do a specialist extremis.
I had to drop the Tomb from my list, but now I've heard a lot of people, including you, speaking about it again. I think I have to add it back.
Yeah. So I'm actually 1 CP starting off now.
Yeah.
I had 2 in Norrköping. I think it worked out just as fine starting off with 1. I think only in maybe 1 game in Norrköping I actually used specialist extremis turn 1. So if you go second,
it works. Yeah.
Anyhow, but going to do the Alpha Strike in turn 2 is quite okay as well, because now, I think it works. But going to 0, I think will be taking too far.
Yeah. I think so too. That's a little bit bad.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But if we, I like the rule, but if we could have kept at least the free trait on the Warlord, it would have been so fine. Yeah.
That would have helped immensely. That change by itself. Yeah. A free relic, a free Warlord trait, that would have been perfect. The rest I could live with, but
me too.
Well, let's see how they do in the next chapter approved. I'm sure it's gonna come soon. I'm really curious whether that CP change will stay as it is or not. Really curious.
Yeah.
We will see.
We will see.
But speaking of upcoming changes, there is one thing that keeps bothering and worrying me as the year is coming to an end, and that is what will happen to the Army of Renown coming January 2023. That's to me. I made a video about that the other day. I like that keeps bothering me because I mean now we have September. There's not so much left until January. So what do you think is gonna happen?
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous because even though this season ends in Las Vegas, like in February, so the book drops, if the book is dead in January 1st, we can't even play it the whole season. And
Yes.
as you talk about in the video, it's so much fun. It feels so much more Deathwatch that you can pick your chapter every round. And I really like the way it plays. The stratagem, Specialist stream is, I don't need it. It can go away. It's okay. I like the redeploy strat. It's quite tactical and nice. Cool, it's cool. But being able to choose my chapter, that's the thing I love about it, because it makes the army so flexible, and being able to sometimes chunk in that extra turn with some chapter. It's awesome.
It's a bit the same for me. I think I could lose everything, but not Veterans of the Long Vigil. Give us that, put it into the supplement, and that's it.
Yeah, that would be great. If that was put into the supplement as a chapter thing, it would be awesome. But as you were mentioning, I think if we don't have an FAQ and a Space Marine new book 2.0, I think they will extend the book, because this book is actually the reason they put out those dates were mainly because you had the Leviathan supplement, and I think that was the only reason they actually put a date on the book, that we're taking these things out and the book will stay alive for another year. So I don't think they had a thought about what is going to happen to the Army of Renown for the Deathwatch in a year, because the book also includes all the Inquisitors. Yeah, they will also, what happens to them in a year. But so I think they will probably extend the date if they haven't released a new supplement FAQ for us. That's my guess.
Yeah. I was thinking, like people were talking about Space Marines 2.0 coming end of the year, like they talked about this half a year ago. But now, just recently, they released this new roadmap. And basically what you're seeing in Winterwell is not Space Marines. So at this point, I'm not so sure whether it's really going to hit before January. I personally don't think so. But
no, it's going to be Astra and Khorne coming out here in November somewhere.
Exactly.
So I agree. Space Marine 2.0 will not be here before December.
Yeah,
it won't.
I don't think so either. And they now have the League of Wotan. Everyone is hyped about the Space Dwarves. And I think for me, I was like, okay, if they release a new Space Marine books, they can make all the sales at Christmas. But no, wait. I didn't realize, of course, they can sell all the League of Wotan guys. It's okay. they don't need to sell Space Marines. It's okay.
They have a new lineup with a lot of things.
Yes.
Mass production right now. Just dwarfs everything.
Dwarfs everything.
And there's so many chapters that haven't been released yet.
True.
For the Space Marine, So, but starting next year, they're probably gonna hit us. But until then, Army of Renown, I think they will extend the book. Otherwise, we have to find a new game plan.
That's going to be very interesting.
Then it's going to be Spectre's kill team all over, I think.
Triple Spectre's kill teams. No, because I was wondering now if, as you were saying, basically the season is going until February or whatever, and they do not extend the date. So technically there's going to be a couple of weeks where you really would have to play without the Army of Renown. Have you made any thoughts on this, what you would do?
I think I would almost play in the same list. We will lose the possibility to have all the army advance and charge and the Imperial Fist. It will be so much more CP dependent. I think I will go for a more defensive play. With more tanky, I will probably have both the Indomitors. I will have 2 Spectre skill team. I will have 1 Proteus skill team with a lot of Terminators. That can guard my backfield, and then play a more defensive game, have that melee push in the units, but still a lot of shooting in my backfield, and go for playing with Long Vigil and Banners and a kill one, and just going more like a Dark Angel playstyle. I will be playing from my deployment zone. If you come here, I will kill you. So.
Exactly. That now can work in our favor. So now I think, as we were saying, I think it's the Veterans of the Long Vigil that's really going to hurt. The rest we don't necessarily miss so much, but the one advantage we would have is that we don't mandatorily have to take specialisms, or we could just take a squad of eradicators by themselves or something like that. But yeah, I suppose that's still not so nice compared to Veterans of the Long Vigil. But let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, and I actually painted some eradicators, thinking about maybe doing one of my Indomitable kill teams with 2 regular and 1 multi-melta and 2 inceptors, just to have that extra shooting against knights.
That could be interesting. So that could be very interesting. Awesome.
So they are painted and ready to be tested out, but I haven't done so yet.
Awesome.
But I'm playing a big RTT maybe in 2 weeks. It's a 40 player event, just a 3 games, 1 day event. So maybe they will be tested out there just to practice and get some different playstyle.
Would be awesome. Now I have a final question, and that would be, is there any stuff you wish you knew when you started out? Can be anything. Can be anything Deathwatch, can be general advice, something that would have changed the game for you at an event, if there's such a thing. Always makes for a cool story.
People said when I was starting, Marines are easy. Okay, cool. So, this one looks cool, and they have a cool name, Deathwatch. Let's go with them. And started reading. Is this easy? It's so many fucking rules. How can I understand this? I didn't know. I picked the only hard Marine to play. So that was quite fun. I love them now, and I don't mind the pick because it's the coolest Space Marine chapter by far, and they are so much better than people know. A friend of mine, when we were playing 2 years ago, when we started out, he said, "Why are Deathwatch rated so low? Doesn't people understand that they should be A tier because everything is OBSEC and we have so many flexible rules? We are one of the by far best Space Marine chapters, but people don't know that.
Yes,
because it's so hard to play them, but we have the rules to be the absolute best Space Marine chapter by far."
I completely agree, but people just don't know what we can do. But that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Like, how are you doing your loadouts? Do you basically glue the weapons fixed, or are you make them detachable with magnets and stuff like that?
I glue them. I take down a model from here. All my models are glued.
They are all glued.
Except for in the bottom where I put a magnet so I can easily transport them.
Put them in the box.
Yeah. But otherwise, all the models are totally glued together, and I use my shop knife. As soon as I need to do anything, I just bring out this guy and take away something and then just glue something else on.
Okay, you go hard mode, because that's really something I basically wish I had known from the beginning, is like, use the magnets, man, use the magnets.
Yeah. and my friend that plays Necrons, he has magnets everywhere, so he's very good at with the magnets. And
very cool.
I was very late in with the magnets, so then I just I buy more plastic and I use the knife. So I have a lot of Deathwatch now. I don't think maybe 5,000 painted or something in 2 years.
I have to count mine. You can see mine in the back here in the shelf, but I don't know how many points there are. But there are quite a few points.
Yeah, that looks like a lot.
It's an IKEA.
If everything.
It's an IKEA shelf.
Yeah, it's isn't it Billy?
I don't know the name, but it's definitely an IKEA shelf.
Yeah. I reckon it is.
Cool.
Have you seen that interview with Zlatan Ibrahimovic when he is getting an interview, and the guy who's interviewing asks him, "Why would you shop at IKEA? You have millions." And he said he said something about rich people are stupid, smart people shop at IKEA or something, because he has a lot of money, but still
sounds like
IKEA
him. That statement sounds like him. Even we in Switzerland know him, so it's like everyone knows him.
Yeah, that's great.
Fantastic. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. That has been a fantastic talk. To wrap things up, I would summarize my key takeaways as following. While our Army of Renown has transitioned well enough into War Zone Nephilim and even got some extra benefits, like discounted specialisms or free last fuzzles on the eliminators, the reduced starting CP can be an issue, both for investing pre-game as well as using specialism extremists during early rounds. In addition to this, we usually really lack on a great third secondary pick. On the flip side, we can very well afford to start with 1 CP only, and the potential lack of extremis in the first battle round can be compensated for by packing the Tomb of Ectoclades back into the list. Or in case of going second, extremis would even be possible in the first battle round if it came to that. As far as secondaries are concerned, Mikael is heavily leaning into long vigilant banners, which also allows him to go for a more defensive playstyle, or even playing a long waiting game in case the situation arises, like for instance his recent game against Chaos Space Marines. We can also see these choices being represented by his more recent list changes, for instance dropping down further on the aggressors and going for more Inceptors, focusing on primary range damage on his Indomitor kill team. He does of course still bring 2 of his signature Klangeby style Proteus kill teams. Link to the full list is in the description. Furthermore, late game CP does have its benefits, be it for a defensive stratagem or a redeploy that otherwise would not have been available. As January 2023 is slowly approaching, the potential loss of our Army of Renown is a concern, though we are of course both hoping for the expiry date to be pushed back. Nonetheless, if the worst came to be, Mikael would most likely stick to the basic concepts of his current list, but make it a bit more tanky, for instance by adding in more Terminators. Bringing along several Spectre skill teams with last fossil eliminators could also be an option. They do pack a punch and are hilariously tanky with Armor of Contempt and Camo Cloaks. Saving against AP-4 with a 4-up still is nuts. All in all, while Deathwatch is a very difficult army to play in general, with enough practice, it has the potential to bring great results. Contrary to what some popular news sites may rate us at, I think we both agreed that Deathwatch easily counts among the strongest Space Marines, if not the strongest. Good times, and thanks again for the great chat. So that's it for this special episode with Mikael Klangeby, where we discussed competitive Deathwatch, War Zone Nephilim, and what the future might have in store for us. What do you guys think about these particular topics, and how have your own games been going as of late? Are you already preparing for a life without the Army of Renown, or are you keeping your hopes up? Let us know in the comments. Finally, I would also like to mention that there is a SwissHammer Facebook page where I will be posting links to my videos as well as articles I find of interest. I do read a lot about the hobby, but not all of it will always end up as its own video. I look forward to seeing you there as well. I do also have a Patreon page. If you like my content, any additional support is greatly appreciated as it helps me invest into future videos. As always, thank you very much for watching guys, your continued support is greatly appreciated. I hope you have been enjoying this video, give me a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks again and see you next time.